And welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant, where every single Tuesday right here on the show, I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network in preparation for Money in the Bank this coming Sunday. Today we're talking Money in the Bank 2016, one of the stronger, all-around better pay-per-views from last year that I thoroughly enjoyed watching it back for the first time since it aired just about a year ago. So this pay-per-view does run over a little over just 3 hours, at 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 23 minutes, something around there. A lot longer than usual, with the main event going a bit long, but it was still a great show. The pre-show, which I don't typically talk about here on the WrestleRant videos, but very briefly, you had the Golden Truth beating Breezango in an absolute embarrassment of a match I could not have cared less about, and the Lucha Dragons beating the Dudley Boys in an 8-minute classic. Not really, but it was what it was. Kicking off the actual show for the WWE Tag Team titles, a fatal 4-way match, The New Day defending against the Club's Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, and the Vaudevillains. Pretty fun match. I mean, with so many teams, I got 11 minutes. It felt like it went a bit longer than that. It wasn't all that exciting until like about the second half or so, but they worked well together. Never really a dull moment. Just a lot of confusing moments down the stretch, and some moments that did not gel all that well. I'm not the type of person to say that a certain botch, like one botch, ruined the match for me. Not to say that it ruined the match, but that one spot with Enzo getting stuck in the Trouble in Paradise, but he fell off. I think he was doing some sort of maneuver to like one half of the Vaudevillains. He missed the Trouble in Paradise, but not on purpose. Kofi was supposed to hit it, but Enzo fell over. Something along those lines. No real surprise, Enzo's not that good of a wrestler, but at any rate, he tried it again on Simon Gotch. He missed it. So then we fast forward to the finish. I think Carl Anderson was actually the legal man. He had tagged Simon Gotch or Aiden English or whoever, but Aiden English was the one pinned by the New Day. So they never really acknowledged that. They never played it in any sort of storyline going forward. I assume they just screwed up. So that was kind of weird. But overall, the match was fun. Not a great match, a bit chaotic. And again, you kind of run into those issues with 8 men in one match and the manager being Xavier Woods at ringside. So you had a lot of chaos going around here. But regardless, the right result, the New Day retaining their WWE Tag Team titles, embarking on their reign as the longest reigning Tag Team champions in WWE history, going on to break the record right before Battleground the following month. After that, you had Baron Corbin taking on Dolph Ziggler in a really, really good match, surprisingly. The crowd got into it towards the second half. They were chanting boring early on, but that was to be expected. I mean, the feud sucked. The feud was not good at all. I mean, Baron Corbin won more matches than he lost in this feud, but it was still kind of a lost cause, just because I feel like Baron Corbin came out of this feud not weaker, but he didn't come out any stronger than he did before it started either. Like, he arrived in the main roster, putting him in a feud with an established star like Dolph Ziggler seemed like a good idea on paper. But, and not that it was a bad idea, just that it was very poorly executed. Because again, the first few matches were nothing special. I talked about it in my Extreme Rules review a couple weeks back, but their Extreme Rules match, at Extreme Rules, the No disqualification match, was really forgettable. It was like 5 to 7 minutes on the kickoff show. Who could possibly care? Thank God they did not get kicked at the kickoff show, did not get booted to the kickoff show at Money in the Bank. And again, having one of the better matches of the night, all things considered, I thought this was really good. In the end, Baron Corbin winning clean, again, as he should have, and embarking on his path of dominance from that point forward. There was also one specific spot in this match where Dolph Ziggler screwed up jumping off of the steel steps at ringside. And in doing so, Baron Corbin caught him in the end of days, or not the end of days, that's his finisher, but deep six, I think is what he calls the spinning side slam at ringside. I thought that looked great, just to point that out. So after that, we had women's action. Charlotte and Dana Brooke taking on Natalya and Becky Lynch. I completely forgot the Charlotte and Natalya feud did not end at Extreme Rules in May. I forgot that it continued on until Money in the Bank. Again, who could possibly care? Another feud that really fell flat for me personally. That Natalya really, people were just not getting behind her as the face of the women's division. People so desperately wanted Sasha Banks back, and she would come back the next night, but Natalya was not filling that role all that well. I mean, this was a fine match. Dana Brooke is just not good at all. But Charlotte helped carry her to a competent contest, as well as Natalya and Becky. Pretty formulaic standard tag team match in the end. Some miscommunication by Natalya and Becky. They bump heads. Charlotte capitalizes, pins Natalya for the victory, heels win, and then afterwards Natalya turns heel on Becky Lynch. A nice little moment. I mean, the match itself was nothing memorable whatsoever, But the moment of Natalya turning on Becky, I thought was great. Very well needed. I could see the argument that she's better as a babyface, but she needed a change in character and made her at least a bit more relevant going into the brand split the following month. After that, we had Apollo Crews taking on Sheamus. Again, good match, nothing all that spectacular. Crowd could not have cared less, but again, the feud was barely furthered on TV. They were very rarely on Raw and SmackDown at that point in time. Apollo Crews had been treading water for months, just spinning his wheels for so long, people just kind of lost interest. Not to the point where they are today, but at that point at this time a year ago, he just really was not doing much whatsoever. So they just randomly put him in a feud with Sheamus, which I thought was good. Again, a good match, a good win for Crews, but where did it go? Like, they had a rematch on SmackDown days later that Sheamus won via countout, I believe. And then beyond that, they just dumped the feud, and then Sheamus went on to do nothing. Crews went on to do nothing until Sheamus found Cesaro as his, enemy/tag team partner, and Crews is still doing nothing, even on Raw today. So, still kind of a failed effort there, but a good match for what it was worth. I appreciated the effort in trying to get Crews over. After that, the dream match made for WrestleMania came early. AJ Styles versus John Cena. Everything about the feud, the build up to this match, the SummerSlam match, which I'll talk about in my SummerSlam review in a couple of months. But as far as this match goes, AJ coming back, or not, John Cena coming back and being confronted by AJ Styles night one, who then turned heel, and then you had the club getting involved, and AJ is just a brilliant heel, as we would soon find out. Everything about this, I thought it was great. The only real thing I could see people getting upset over in regards to this match, why I remember people getting upset over it, is the fact that AJ had signed a contract days earlier on Raw, on the Raw before the pay-per-view, saying that he would not allow the club to interfere. I mean, the club interfered anyway, and people were like, oh, what a cheap win, they made AJ look weak. It's like, people, you gotta embrace the fact, you have to appreciate the fact that he won it all. Like, John Cena could have very easily won this match, and it's not all that often that Cena loses the first match in a feud, let alone the second, which I'll talk about my SummerSlam review, as I mentioned, in a couple of months. But this match I thought was brilliant, living up to the hype and being a dream match for the ages. I personally thought the SummerSlam match was better. Still, potatoes, doesn't matter. I thought the match itself, I thought, was phenomenal, and both guys put forward an exceptional effort, got a ton of time, made the most of it. Hitting both their finishers, so on and so forth. In the end, like I said, the club getting involved, AJ Styles the victor, and continuing on with the feud heading into SummerSlam. So again, 2 thumbs up for the match. After that, the Money in the Bank ladder match, with the winner automatically earning a future shot at any time in any place that they're choosing at the WWE Championship. You had Alberto Del Rio, you had Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Dean Ambrose, the ultimate winner in this whole thing. A great match. I don't know if I would go so far as to say the best Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. Certainly among my favorites. But I thought the match itself was great. All 6 guys put forward just a great effort, start to finish. And all 6 guys made sense as combatants to the Money in the Bank crown. Del Rio being the only one who had held the briefcase prior to that point. But you had Ambrose with the story with the 2 guys in the main event, with Rollins and Reigns in the former Shield history, obviously. You had Cesaro at that point, who was on fire coming off of his return from injury. You had Jericho, who, took credit for the match taking place, but had never had won the match prior to that point. You had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in their feud. And just all 6 guys, the chemistry they had going into the match, in the match itself, was awesome. And it was also unpredictable. A lot of the things surrounding these Money in the Bank ladder matches in years past, what made them so underwhelming for a lot of people, was the fact that you kind of know who was going to win. In 2015, Sheamus was kind of a predictable winner. 2014, Seth Rollins and Ambrose were really the only logical victors in that whole thing. In 2016, it wasn't like that whatsoever. And any one of these guys realistically could have won. I think Del Rio being the worst case scenario. But any one of them could have walked out with the briefcase and ultimately a future shot at the WWE Championship. So that's what I enjoyed about this. The in-ring action, again, I thought was great, start to finish. All 6 guys looked great here. Even Del Rio, who I could not give 2 craps about, I thought was really, really good in this match, and also having experience too helped. But yeah, just really, really enjoyed the match. Again, I don't think I would call it the greatest Money in the Bank ladder match ever, but for what it was, though, I would probably have to put it in the top 5 of all time. Certainly among my favorites, if not my favorite. But as I mentioned, Ambrose knocking Kevin Owens off the top of the ladder. He falls backwards onto a ladder behind him, and Ambrose is your 2016 Money in the Bank winner, or 2016 Mr. Money in the Bank. After that, for the United States Championship, Rusev defending the gold against Titus O'Neil. a fine match for what it was. Again, just really nothing all that spectacular. The feud was kind of ho-hum going into the show. They didn't really do much to get people excited about the match. I thought the rematch on the 4th of July Raw about a week or two later was a lot better than this. But again, I had nothing against the guys in the match. It was just kind of at a hard point in the show coming off of Styles and Cena in the Money in the Bank ladder match. The crowd wasn't going to care. But again, it wasn't a bad match. Rusev won. Probably the highlight of the whole thing was Rusev mocking Titus's kids at ringside. It was Father's Day, and he came up short, and he was mocking his dad for losing on Father's Day, which was awesome. Other than that, though, kind of a forgettable encounter. And then the main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, you had Roman Reigns defending against Seth Rollins, the match we had longed to see at Night of Champions 2014, Survivor Series 2015, and now finally at Money in the Bank. And in the match we almost did not see due to Roman Reigns suffering or receiving that suspension, I think only a couple days before the show. They did the show as planned. I assume the finish was changed. I thought Rollins would lose and Romans would have retained. Thank God that it didn't happen the way I thought they were going to do it. But as a match itself, I thought it was a great match. Maybe went a bit long in the tooth at 26 minutes long, but it had a big fight feel. The video package was phenomenal. Both guys look great here. Rollins coming off his knee injury. Didn't appear to miss a beat whatsoever. Roman Reigns, for all the flack that he gets for being a quote-unquote bad wrestler from the fans, the guy delivers in big match situations. I mean, he had a great match with The Big Show, of all people, like 2 years ago. So the fact that people claim he's not a good wrestler is just BS to me. I think people just do it to have fun. If you legitimately believe that he's not a good wrestler, that to me just doesn't make any sense. But again, other than the fact that it ran a little long, it was still an awesome main event. Rollins, in the end, he had a pedigree out of nowhere on Roman Reigns. The spot of the match, hands down, when Roman was going for the spear, and then Rollins reversed that into a pedigree on the ground. Roman kicks out to a huge pop. Rollins follows that up with a second pedigree to win the match and the championship in the process. Again, kind of a shocker to a lot of people who thought that Roman would retain. Not the case. Rollins becomes a two-time champion. No more than a minute later, halfway through his championship celebration, out comes Dean Ambrose. His music hits. The place goes crazy. He attacks Rollins from behind with a Money in the Bank briefcase. Ambrose cashes in and becomes the new WWE champion. Again, to the just elation, to the adulation of the crowd, they just go nuts. It was an awesome moment. Dean Ambrose's first ever WWE championship, and within the span of 3, 4, 5 minutes, all three members of the Shield were WWE champion, from Roman to Rollins to Dean Ambrose, all in the matter of 3 to 5 minutes, whatever it might have been. But it was really, really cool to see all three guys go full circle in the matter of one night on a pay-per-view that really defined the group. In years past, you had Ambrose and Rollins battling it out in the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2014, fighting each other in the main event of 2015, and then at 2016, Ambrose pinned Seth Rollins to win his first WWE Championship. And of course, it can be argued they pulled the trigger a little too late with Ambrose, and they should have given him the championship the year before or the year before that, but too little too late, no matter what the reason might be, no matter what the argument or what the criticism might be. It was still a great moment, nevertheless, for Dean Ambrose, coming out of Money in the Bank, the new WWE champion. So just an exceptional way to close the show. Overall, I give the show 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it at the time, watching it back. Also a great, just really, really entertaining from start to finish. I thought the top 3 matches, which is what this show was built around, delivered. The Money in the Bank match was great. Styles and Cena, a dream match, living up to that billing as well, to that lofty expectation level. And then the main event was awesome too, so can't really complain about the show. The undercard was not even really all that terrible. The women's match was kind of standard and forgettable, formulaic and forgettable, but it had the right result. Corbin Ziggler, right result, better than expected match. Cruz and Sheamus, solid for what it was. Rusev and Titus, they continued the feud beyond this point. Had a better match about 8 days later or 2 weeks later on Raw. So they continued that feud, and the tag team title match was kind of had some botches here and there, but still overall just a fun opener. So again, I give the show 2 thumbs up. Right up there with Battleground, which I'll talk about next month as the 2016 WWE pay-per-view of the year. So that being said, check out Money in the Bank 2016 before Money in the Bank this Sunday, and also check out all my other reviews of the Money in the Bank pay-per-views from years past, dating back to 2010 to 2015, and of course the 2016 show, which you just checked out, obviously. But check out the 2010 through 2015 shows, my reviews of those pay-per-views, right here on WrestleRant from years ago. So that being said, guys, as always, I appreciate the support. Check out all the other videos here on the channel. Subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment. All that stuff is amazingly appreciated. And we'll be back next week with the final pay-per-view I have yet to watch on the WWE Network. Believe it or not, In Your House 19D Generation X from December of 1997. So until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch you guys down the road.